little while since we did a tier list. So we are going to lock down a ranked tier list. This is not if you're a low level player, it doesn't apply to you. You're a high level player, it applies to anyone who's queuing ranked. Just straight up, anyone who's queuing ranked. So get into it. Talk about it. S tier, OP, top picks, top bans every game. A tier, top picks, usually don't get banned. B tier, good all around. You're not building a comp around them, but they are good fillers for comps built around A tier or S tier gods. C tier, situational, or if you're just that's your one trick, like you can still kind of play it. D tier, probably shouldn't play unless it perfectly supplements your team comp. And F tier, dog shit, don't play it. All right. Agni, A tier, one of the top 3 mages, I think. Aladdin, still S tier. He's going to get through picks and bans. Okay. He's not must ban. He's worth banning, but he is top pick 100% when he's not banned, in my opinion. Amaterasu, there's an aspect leak that makes Ama an AA like carry jungler, an auto attack carry jungler. If that happens, I think she'll move up to A. For now, I'll probably leave her in B. I don't think she's bad. I just think your matchups in solo are kind of weak, and that's the main place you'd play her currently. On her with the aspect or not the aspect, B tier. He's just not competing as a hunter right now. There's a leaked aspect of him, or not leaked. If that aspect goes live tomorrow, so I don't know. They put the aspect in the patch notes. All right, the aspect was his ult can crit the entire thing, and his 2 can crit, and it procs like kins and stuff. If that goes live, On her moves up to A. If it was troll, because they kind of acted like they said they didn't mean to put it in there, but then they were like unless, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing. If that goes live, Honor's A tier. If that doesn't go live, Honor stays B tier. Anubis, you can play Anubis. You have to maintain pressure, but I don't think he's good. And if you get counterpicked or they focus you the whole game, you won't get to play the match. Aphrodite should be banned every game. She's top support, period. Ares, I think Ares is a lot better with that aspect. His aspect is his 2. It stuns people now, which not only does a stun for setup for your team, it sets up your chains so you can't miss your chains, which is big. It's also just really annoying CC to have. So you have a god with a stun, an AoE pull into a stun, and a cripple on the 1. Can't really go wrong with him right now. He counters a lot of the top gods as well, like Aladdin and Jingwei, which, you know, even more moves him up a bit. Athena, I think Athena is solid. Only in jungle, maybe solo, but mainly jungle. Aspect or not, either way works. Hybrid or crit build, either way. So if you're going for hard carry, the crit build works. If you're going for just supplementing your team, if you have really good players on your team, you can go a hybrid like tanky or Athena jungle and just set up your boys the whole game. Solid pick all the time. Bacchus is kind of lower tier. He's not going to compete with the other supports. He's not competing with Umoja, Ares, Geb. Who am I forgetting? There's somebody I'm forgetting, but he's not going to compete with them right now. So he's going to stay in that C tier. You can play him, and I don't think you're trolling. If he's the only god that in support you know how to play and you pick him, I wouldn't be mad at you. Baron, very good god still, just all around, can be played in a bunch of roles and do fairly well. Not a top pick, though. Why? Because they nerfed the fuck out of him, and I don't think the mage item changes are going to make him OP in mid lane. Bellona, top solo laner, counters hunters. Hunters are OP right now. They're still going to be OP tomorrow when the patch drops. Great solo laner. Can even play in the jungle. In the jungle, I'd put her in B. In solo, I'd put her in A. Kabrakan, I'm still not sold on this god. He has a crazy lockdown, but the damage isn't there. Even with full damage builds, you get more out of crit, which is weird. Or even like Heartseeker style Hydra's builds, which is weird. And it just doesn't feel right. But as a solo or just a super tanky jungle, the amount of stuns he has is insane. He's a very, very good lockdown jungler or solo laner. CERN, weak as fuck right now. Gets outplayed by a lot of the ADCs. I don't know if I'd say C tier. I think I would, actually. I think there's too much CC right now for you to play CERN. I think CERN gets knocked up by Jingwei, he dies. CERN gets Aladdin ulted, he dies. CERN gets Ares, it goes against Ares, he dies. He needs a CC immune ult, or he needs some better form of movement than that dash, because that dash is getting called all day. Chalk solo, beast, chalk mid, probably B tier. Chalk jungle, probably B or C tier. But as a solo laner, A tier, Chalk is great. Cupid, second best hunter right now, and counters 2 of the top. Well, that's not including Ul. Second best auto attack hunter, maybe up there with somewhere in the top 3. Like he's one of the top 3. Again, Ul, Jingwei, Cupid. He counters both Jingwei and Ul's a hard counter. Jingwei has to ult to counter the ult. Ul's just got to try to run away or some shit and not die. Danza, very mid as an ADC. I wouldn't play him anywhere else. Fenrir as a jungle, great pick all the time. No downside really to playing him. If you do go full damage, you might die a lot if you're not patient. So hybrid build could be better or should be better. Geb, his passive still OP. He gives his passive when he shields somebody. Great pick. You kind of lack pressure if you don't pick the better hunter in the pressure category. But once you have the team fights, he's OP. He's insane. Hades. I like Hades right now as a full damage solo. The downside to it is you're full damage, so you really aren't a good front line. If your team lacks front line and you're all you got, it's going to be a hard game. I do think Hades is better the lower ranked you are. But all around, I'd put Hades in B. Hecate, still a top mid. Damage output is crazy. They're going to buff mage items as well. Hercules. I kind of want to... Let me do this because now I feel... Let me do this. We have to add an S+. So S+ is permaban. Okay? S+ tier is going to be permaban. I have to have it because there's a lot of gods that are just top pick, but they're not... Like, they really shouldn't be getting banned. So Afro should be banned every game. Hercules and Aladdin are not going to be banned every game. They are top pick junglers all fucking day long, worth playing no matter what. Hunbats is the best god in the game. They're gonna nerf him tomorrow, they said. Don't know what that nerf looks like. I'm betting they fucked the cooldown up on the 2, which will make him more balanced, but probably still one of these tiers. Izanami apparently has a crazy high win rate because of pressure. So she wins lane and it makes people win more games. She's not good though. Her team fight is weak as hell compared to the other hunters. Afro support is that crazy. It's automatically one lane. You win the lane. With Lifebinder, your pressure is ridiculous if you decide to go Lifebinder. Your safety net and your ability to just rotate around and run at anybody you want is ridiculous, especially in a rank setting. The only time Avro doesn't feel completely broken is when the team fighting is really, really good. It's like high level play where people are grouping. Is the only time where she doesn't feel completely broken. Jingwei, in my opinion, especially if you're under like the deity rank, you're just banning her every game, or she gets through, you're picking her. She's the hardest hitting god with full build in the game. She hits harder than anyone else, and I don't think she can lose any 1v1s at full build to tanks to anybody. I don't think it's possible. So Hunbats, you do always go aspect no matter what, always. Bologna, you always go aspect no matter what. Chalk, you probably as a solo leader do not go aspect. Any other role you do. Cupid ADC, always go aspect. Hecate, never go aspect. Fenrir, never go aspect. On her, I think aspect is definitely better, but on her is just kind of weak right now. Athena's up to you. Ares support, you're always going aspect. Geb, never go aspect. And that's the aspects. Capri support, I think he's fine. I don't think he's great. His lane pressure is not insane unless you have the way better hunter matchup, which I think is where his downside is. He used to be strong, or when he was strong in Smite 1, like those periods of time, he guaranteed lane pressure. That just doesn't happen right now. I don't think he's bad. You do run aspect all the time on him as support. Kikulkin, kind of like a default mid where, you know, Hecate's banned or you can't play Agni or something. You forfeit to Kikulkin. His ult doesn't hit hard enough, but his 1+ poly proc will hard carry the late game, which makes him stay in that B tier. Loki. I think Loki's worth putting in S tier. His downside is hybrid meta because Gargoyle completely counters a lot of his damage. But you still one-shot squishies. And in your rank games, they're not going to target you if you're patient. If you wait for your team to go in, you're always going to be able to free carry and insta-kill them. Like, it's going to happen all day. So I think probably Deity below, Masters below. Loki is definitely S tier. Anywhere else, I'd probably say like A tier for ranked. Yeah, Loki hits very hard, even early game. His early game is not bad anymore. Medusa, I believe Medusa is one of the top hunters in the game. Does well against Cupid because of the CC immunity. Has a decent matchup versus Jingwei, at least for the early pressure, because Medusa's got really good clear. And then I just like the fact that this god can snowball very hard. Get an early kill and just start dashing at them and running it down, and you really don't lose many 1v1s early game. You just don't have as insane of a late game as Jingwei. Mordred, he never gets picked right now, which is weird because he didn't really get many changes and he was top pick and ranked for a while. I guess people just learned how to play against him. I'll put him in C tier right now, where it's just not worth playing, but if he's your main, you can go to it and you're not trolling. Dude, it's wild though, because Mordred was top picked for like the first week of ranked and now he's just gone, doesn't exist. I think Mulan is fine. She's got a weaker late game. She's played as a solo laner. I would not play her jungle or anywhere else, even support. Play solo lane, get as tanky as possible so you're not dying in the late game and just be very, very annoying. She does hit very hard late game still with full defense builds. Neath, sleeper pick. Sleeper pick. Absolutely ridiculous hunter. Has a bad matchup against Cupid, but I feel like all her other matchups are good and her lane pressure is crazy, so I like her for ranked. I'm putting her in fucking S tier and you're going to accept it. Nemesis. I think Nemesis is dog shit. Slows feel worthless when you play Nemesis. The aspect is bad. The more that, so if you watch my last tier list or one of my other things, I talk about how Nemesis aspect is pretty good. That was before I knew Nemesis aspect was countered by anti-heal. So if you go anti-heal against a Nemesis, and you have aspect on his Nemesis, the ult doesn't do anything. It's completely worthless. It does literally nothing. So yeah, I'm not recommending playing a lot of Nemesis. You can go a crit build and just try to one-shot carries, but you won't win like trades versus actual ADCs, which is one thing Nemesis always did back in the day, and she just can't do it. Nuwa, default mid, just like Kukulkan. You default to her when other stuff's banned, or if you're just not a great mid laner. Odin, I would only play Odin if I was trying to counter pick people, and that's it. You know, they have tons of healing or no mobility to get out. Pele, I think, is a solid jungler. Still has enough damage to just bot people. She has really bad matchups, though. She's not going to have a good matchup against Hunbats, because Hunbats 2 is not going to be immune. She's not going to win matchups against Herc jungle. She's not going to beat Loki jungle. So if you're talking about pure, like, this jungle versus this jungle, she's not peak, but she's not bad. Poseidon, I think he still needs more buffs. You play him as a comfort pick, or if nothing else is up. Honestly, maybe even down in the D tier with Poseidon right now. Raw, I still think Raw is nuts. I like full damage Raw mid. I don't like Raw solo anymore. They nerfed the fuck out of his 2, so it's not as crazy. But full damage Raw mid is ridiculously valuable. You still hit hard as shit. Sobek, default pressure for ranked. You just kind of try to fight 24/7, and I like Sobek in ranked as a support. I don't think there's any downside to him. Rotate early, look for plucks on mid laners that don't have mobility, or go to solo lane if they don't have mobility, and just counter anyone who can't do anything when you pluck them. Soul, did they confirm the soul aspect on the patch notes today? Or not the patch notes, the Tin Talk? Or is that just data mine? I think they confirmed it, right? It's confirmed? Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I could be wrong. But the aspect for soul makes it so your passive, your heat that you get from autoing stuff, no longer makes you get attack power and strength and attack speed. This is what the aspect does. The aspect turns her into a mage. You get, I think it's 40% more intellect when your heat is maxed out, and your abilities have, I don't know, it said percent damage increase on abilities. I don't know what the percent damage increase is. Somebody said 7.5, and then someone else said 75%. I'm going to guess it's not 75%, so it might be 7.5%, but 40% more intellect is a lot. And Poly is very, very strong right now. So we more than likely will see a soul pressure pick out of the mid lane a lot soon. And I think she's going to be broken. She'll be unkillable in mid lane because of her 3. If she's getting 40% more intellect and is able to get up into like the 1,000, 1,200 intellect without 3k pots, that will be ridiculous. And if the ults are scaling, or sorry, the abilities are scaling, it's possible that your 2 poly proc and just almost one-shot somebody. That's my guess. If the numbers are off for whatever reason, without this aspect, she's C tier, she's D tier. She's D tier. There's no point to play her. Even with crit, there's no point playing her right now. If the aspect is doing what it sounds like on paper it's going to do, I think it puts Soul above most of these mid laners. She becomes one of the few she could become one of the few mages with safety, mobility, and a ton of damage. Where right now, Agni doesn't really do a ton of damage to late game. Hecate does a fair amount of damage mid to late game, but the mobility isn't as there. And then like the Soul just comes in and takes over. It's a prediction. But those numbers, you know, they like here, let's do this. We'll pull up this real quick and I'll show you. So we got Soul right now. Soul's 1 is 30% intel scaling. Her 2 is 45% intel scaling, but that's hitting twice. So it's 90% intel scaling. So if she's able to get 1,000 intellect easier than other mages, and this 2 is hitting for fucking, you know, 14, 1500, and then you poly somebody and they're dead because your poly also scales off your intellect. I'm just saying there's a good chance that she's OP as fuck. and then your ultimate is 40% scaling. You have multiple hits. It wouldn't surprise me if she's cracked with this aspect. I mean, we've seen all these aspects come in and make these gods OP. Look at Humbats. Humbats without aspect is good, but not completely broken. Ares was shit until aspect was put in the game. Raw aspect solo took over until they nerfed the fuck out of the right abilities. Like aspects, Neath aspect with crit is insane. That's another thing. This is Neath aspect auto attack crit build, not ability build. All right, Susano. I think Susano is a fine pick. He's countered by an Ares, Cupid, a bunch of the top gods. Sobek makes it hard for him to play. So I would really look at the draft before I locked in a Susano, but I don't think it's gonna be unplayable in any scenario for Susano. I think hybrid Thanatos is honestly probably a default jungler. I'll put him in A. Full damage Thanatos, I'd say is B tier, but hybrid Thanatos, you end up getting to a point where you do so much damage while being unkillable, and because of your immobility, I think it's necessary to run hybrid and just play for that farm. You play really aggressive early mid, and then you farm the mid late into tanky enough, and then you can just do what you need to do late game, because executes are still very valuable. The Morrigan, you need to know how to play the Morrigan. You need to be good with her, but she's very good. That's mid, that's support, probably A tier, and then B tier is solo in my opinion. Thor, another good jungler. He lacks a lot of what these other junglers have, where it's just the simplicity of I run at you, I spam abilities. He's a little bit more on the mechanical side. The ult's a little weaker in Smite 2 because it shows up earlier than it does in Smite 1 on the ground, so people can dodge it easier. But he is very valuable because he's a CC fucking legend in a game where not a lot of people beat beads. Like, you're not going to see beads. Your supports aren't going to build beads for you against the Thor. It's just not going to happen. Ul, still OP as fuck. Crazy pressure. Good ADC. Good mid. Honestly, good jungle if you're good enough with them. Vulcan. The 100% right prediction is S tier. I want to go out of my way just for the drama of it that Vulcan with the buffs tomorrow is S+ tier. So full build right now, just full build, no buffs, nothing. Vulcan's 1 hits for 880, the 3 hits for 990, the ultimate hits for like 1500. His ultimate's getting buffed with higher scaling. So that's infinite scaling. That means 3k pots you're just gonna see Vulcan's ult get more and more OP the longer the game goes, right? I feel like it's easier to hit Vulcan ult in Smite 2. That's just me. But the other change is to his mods. His mods are the things you get at level 1, level 7, and level 14. At level 7, there's a mod that gives your 1 and your 3 more base damage and more scaling. It currently is 20 base and 10% scaling on each ability. Tomorrow that changes to 30 base and 20% scaling on each ability. So your 1 and your 3 should go from hitting for 900 and 1000 to hitting for 1000 and like 11 to 1200, you know, somewhere a little more than 1000, a little more than 1100, 1200. That one shot squishies. Then your ultimate's also scaling up harder. That can one shot squishies. Vulcan has ridiculous self-peel and a very good early game and a very good laning phase. His downside is lack of CC immunity, right? So you definitely have to ask your teammates to get AoE beads. You probably need beads in mid lane if they have enough CC, or you need to be really good with your combat blink. But my guess is he becomes the best mid. I think he's already top 2 mids. I think he becomes the best mid in the game by far. And I think he gets to a point where if he is truly just one-tapping everybody with all the changes, plus mage items are getting buffed. So I'm telling you numbers he's hitting before the buffs items tomorrow. And if his 1's hitting for 1200, his 3's hitting for 14, 1500, you're not going to play against that. It's just not going to happen. Tanks don't really kill him because of the self-peel. And then his other mods, he can become tankier with one of his mods, which you should be going. You also just get the Thumper as a consumable. So you have an extra fucking turret for early clear. I think Vulcan takes over, becomes the best mage in the game. Yamoja, you need to play Yamoja correctly, which most people don't. But if you are playing correctly, top support. Really good pressure. I've been soloed by full tank, not even full tank. Support Yamojas with support starter and lifebinder have 100 to 0'd me as a jungler without being able to move. So there is early pressure there, guaranteed with Yamoja if you're good. And then your late game team fights with the all are just cracked. Ymir, I think Ymir is just, you play it if it's all you think you can play in support. You die a lot. You end up being very squishy. Most gods don't care you exist right now. I don't recommend playing Ymir. And then Zeus is getting a shift tomorrow where he's becoming more of a mid laner. He's losing, I believe he's losing attack speed on his 2. The cooldown on his 3 is going up, right? But the scaling on his 3 is going up. The scaling on his ult is going up. And like the scaling on his 1, I think, is also going up. Oh, it's sorry. It might not be the cooldown on his 3. It's his passive auto attack damage is scaling down a bit. but his scaling on his 3, his ult, and something else are going up. So he's going to hit harder the later the game goes with his 3 and his ultimate. And I still think Zeus Mage is cracked with Mirrodin. I think being able to double 3 is just insane. So Mage Zeus, you know, is going to be a menace. You know what's wild? I don't actually know if I put anyone in F tier right now. Like I don't know if there's anyone that you should never, obviously roles play a big part, or like aspect on or off play a big part. But if you're doing the right role and the right aspect on or off, then I don't know if there's any complete shit gods in the game. How does 0.75 single target stun make Ares from an F to a B tier? You gave a god that had no hard CC a hard CC. Are we trolling? Hun Bats was never completely broken, but you give him a stun and he's cracked as fuck. And you're taking damage away from him, giving him a stun, he becomes cracked as fuck. If you take, like, imagine you gave Jingwei, like, not even current Jingwei before she, like, a month ago, you gave her a stun, would she be cracked? Would she be, like, OP as fuck? If you gave Poseidon a stun, would he not be OP? If you gave Nemesis a stun, would she not be broken as fuck? If CERN had a stun, would he not be OP? Poseidon doesn't have a stun. Poseidon has a fucking ultimate that gets Aegis and leaped out of. CERN does have a cripple on his too. It's just 0.1 seconds, so it's fucking irrelevant. If his ult crippled, that could be a different story. The thing is, what Ares loses by going aspect isn't real. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. He doesn't care about his fucking teammates. Mordred just fell off. I don't know if it's a mix of the meta, the hybrid items, or what, but he just fucking fell off. Later prehistoricals, tracker.gg king. See, the thing with Ares is he was bad because his ult is super inconsistent. Now, he doesn't give a fuck about his ult being inconsistent because he could just stun you and set you up off of his stun all day. All fucking day. Also, what are the, hold on, let me see something on Ares. Yeah, so you're coming out of a stun for, it's 0.75 seconds for the stun, right? Can I see this? You don't even know if it shows. Into a slow cripple every single time, so your team can automatically follow up. Automatically. Are we getting new gods tomorrow? We're not, right? I don't think we are. I think it's just a balance patch. Oh, they're doing a flash test. Wait, there's no patch tomorrow? I thought this patch was tomorrow. I could have sworn that this nerf patch was going live tomorrow. And a flash test for the gods that haven't been, yeah, like Achilles makes sense. So yeah, here's what I'm looking at. I know for a fact that high level ranked, these 3 gods, these 2 are 100% bans. Jingwei is a very high ban pick rate at the top. Aladdin is also a very high ban pick rate. Hercules has started to be banned a lot. Ul gets banned a lot. Yamoja occasionally. This is a guess. These 2, this is a sleeper. And this is just going to be always good in your rank games if you're a jungler. This is like the beginner jungler I recommend. Hun Bats is actually the beginner jungler now because he's OP as fuck. But once they balance him, we'll see if that's still true. Medusa, the biggest bait. You're trolling, dude. Medusa's cracked. Medusa cracked. I'd rather have Medusa than on her. CERN, Izanami. Who's the other hunter? Do nothing. Bro, you run it down. You hold left click. Dash 1. You can't miss your autos. It changes the whole game when you're a low level player. Soul being S tier is a prediction because the aspect coming out makes her a fucking potentially crazy mage. She will not be an ADC. She'll be a mid mage if the aspect's as good as it sounds like. Dan's is just not consistent, bro. He's got delayed animation still in all his abilities. He's not a hard fucking carry ADC. He has no instant CC immunity. Like, yeah, you could ult if someone jumps on you, but you're going to take damage. Plus, they're going to block your ult. So you're not really good in this meta where the tanks are W keying you, assassins are jumping on you. Where the other hunters, Jingwei, Ul, Cupid, they have self peel, they have instant damage because they're gonna be fucking playing around that their dash, whatever, their auto attacks. It's just a completely different game. Nemesis is just bad. I don't know where Amma will stand with the aspect because the aspect makes it seem like Amma is going to be an auto attack jungler, but is she going to be a hybrid? Is she going to be better in solo without the heal? Are you going to play her in solo? We don't fucking know. Her aspect changes are 1. So let me go here. Her aspect is going to change this ability. So this ability just got buffed. Well, it will get buffed tomorrow. The attack speed you're gaining is 30% now without the aspect. Like, it's just buffed. You're getting 30% attack speed. They buffed some of the other stuff. I forgot what it was. But what the aspect does is it takes away the heal and it takes away the yellow, I think, stance. So you're always in red. And when you pop it, it just keeps you in red and triggers these the passives, the buffs you get. It triggers the red buff attack speed buff, which is more with the aspect. You get haste and Vitalis effect, You get that attack speed buff, which is gonna be 30%. You get that strength buff you're still getting, and then there's something else it's giving. I forget what it is. Movement speed? Is it giving the movement speed now? It still gives movement speed. Yeah, I think it's also still giving movement speed. So you basically trade the heal for all the aggressive and offensive buffs that this one gives. The no heal is what potentially makes her not a solo. We don't know. You're kind of guessing. She's probably still gonna be fine in fucking solo and be OP with these changes, or she's gonna be OP as a hybrid jungler, or she's gonna be OP as a fucking ADC because she was playing an ADC pre-early alpha. We'll see. What do you mean, Drift King? You mean like a Fenrir on your team? Oh, you mean the build? You'd think so, but without the heal, you might. I don't know. You might. Are you gonna feel it or not? I really. That's what I'm thinking. She drops and you play her jungle hybrid build, and you fucking destroy everybody until they nerf it. I'm also thinking it's probably not gonna be bad in solo lane losing the heal. Losing the heal sucks, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think with, you know, Death Toll in the solo lane, you just have enough sustain anyway. Well, Frostbound exists in the game. It's just bad. Well, bad is a lie. It's not as good as a defensive item as Frostbound. It's Avenger's Blade. It gives you strength, health, it's a lot of strength and health. And then it has penetration shred, 3 stacks, I think. And then a slow 3 stacks, or is it 2 stacks on the slow? But it's only a 15% slow at max stacks, I believe. We'll see. I mean, that could be a crazy play with the attack speed and everything you're getting. Maybe you go Avenger's Blade into Kins and with tank items, and you're just OP. We'll see. We'll have to test all this if this aspect actually is. I think they said it's going live tomorrow. What's also only in the jungle? Oh, Avenger's Blade only slows in the jungle. Yeah. You got me fucked up. I forgot. I thought we were talking about the god. I was like, wait, what? You want to get into Smite 2 with the balancing just seems off? No, you're just making an excuse because you're going to be bad because you have so much to learn. Just play the game. There's no world where you even know what the balancing looks like. You don't play the game. You don't know how anything feels. So you're just like making a far-fetched guesstimation. I mean, I'm sitting here showing you a tier list where there's 4 gods. Well, one of them is a guess. 3 gods that are OP. Ban them in ranked. Guess what? You're not playing any of the you're not playing against any of the unbalanced gods. Congrats. I mean, I have a tier list where no god is unplayable. A majority are in the, you can play and you're not you're, solid god tier. You have an immense amount in a top tier role. It's heavily weighted up rather than fucking down. This tier list is for current Smite and estimations or predictions with the patch coming tomorrow. If I'm completely off and everything is wild, I will do another tier list at the end of the week. If I'm only a little wrong, then I, might just make some adjustments. Truth, I'd put Circuit in. What up, Jungle Andy? Right now, there's a lot of ways to play a lot of gods. Would I build Hydras on Jing? You don't have to, but yeah, it's a good last item. On Bats, yeah, build's already on website for Smite Source. You should be able to click the god. Oh, I have to put something in F tier. I guess I'm just gonna delete it. So yeah, you should be able to click on Hunt Bats or Jungle build. There you go. Vulcan is already a top 2 mage, in my opinion. I mean, people were banning it in the tournament the other day a lot, and he's getting a massive buff. He's getting just pure damage buffs tomorrow in multiple ways. Ult scaling is going up. Mod scaling to up the scaling on his 1 and his 3, both base and percent scaling going up. Items are getting buffed. Was it starters, Spear of Deso, like all the items he would want to run going up. So I think it's likely we see like Book of Thoth, Spear of Deso, pen cooldown builds on Vulcan, and he's just one-shotting squishies, and he also wins lane. The only god I think he loses lane to fully is like Izanami. I think Morrigan has like a decent laning phase, but you can still out poker. You should be able to poke and win lane against anybody as Vulcan. Yeah, Vulcan is very good right now, and he's just getting pure damage buffs. I mean, I played Vulcan like 10 times in 2 nights in high level rank games as mid, and I was just fucking carrying. I was pumping like 85k damage almost every game. I do think Vulcan's one of those gods where like some people just can't play him because you have to learn how to play without a CC immunity, without true mobility. You have to know how when you have to self peel and hold your ground and turn fights. But if you're a good mid player, you are gonna be playing fucking Vulcan. And it's likely that with the Soul Mage changes, you're playing Soul as well. And Soul would probably have a really decent matchup against Vulcan, because she could just potentially run it down on Vulcan and try to one-shot him with Poly. You need a little bit of juke shoes with Vulcan. Vulcan's ult's just easier to hit. The current jungle layouts and the size of the ult and the fact that they made it so instacast can actually be played on Vulcan ult now makes a really big difference. The Thunderbird doesn't even do good damage. Using the turrets to block autos is massive. It'll end up eating 2 or 3 autos on a lot of gods early in mid game. Soul's aspect makes her 3 explode around her when she's immune. I did not know that. So she'll have basically like a dive bomb or self-peel and damage. That's crazy. No, that is not Aspect Vulcan. Aspect Vulcan is only for support. And I don't know if I'd really recommend playing that. I'd probably put support Aspect Vulcan in like D tier. Maybe C tier. You can get pretty tanky, but they are nerfing the tankiness a little bit in this patch tomorrow. Do not go 10% CDR on Vulcan. It's not terrible, bro, but the Thumper consumable guarantees you win lane. You have full pressure. It's troll to go the 10%. You also don't need 10% cooldown. With full build Vulcan right now, you're sitting at like 4-second and 3-second cooldowns on your 1 and your 3. Like it's a complete, your ult's on a 35-second cooldown with my build. Like you're hard trolling going CDR, in my opinion. You go Thumper, you fucking put it down on the wave and it clears the way for you and you poke at the enemy god. Like it's such basic gameplay. I have like I think I have 9 videos up and tons of gameplay up all over the place. You only run Aspect Chalk in mid lane, and when you run at mid lane, you run like an ability jungle build, but with Bluestone starter. You don't run Aspect in solo most of the time. You just run the heal. You need the heal for solo. You need to be full tank. All the builds should be up to date. As soon as the patch hits tomorrow, I will update builds and add shit based on the new items. Thumper is too good too, because you go the Thumper as your first, it's a consumable Thumper as the first mod, because your third mod makes the Thumper give you defense. So right now it's 50 of each prot for having the Thumper down around you on Vulcan, which is insane. It's a fucking item. It's getting nerfed to 30 tomorrow of each, but that's still almost an item for having your Thumper around you, bro. Like it's troll as fuck. You can still ward for your teammates, dude. You start 2 health pots and you shouldn't need to spam health pots on Vulcan. I have not seen Achilles gameplay yet. Literally, if you click on Vulcan on Smite Source, it fucking tells you in the build. So this is the hybrid build I was running, where if I'm being dove, I go this, and it tells you what mods to get. And if I'm, this is the current, this is my current damage build on Vulcan that I really like. It's going to change tomorrow because I'm probably not building Kronos, and there's a potential that I'm not building Doom Orb. We'll see. You know, it depends on how everything plays out. But here's the mods. Like it's all laid out for you. We're trying to find a way to make this visually on Vulcan. It'll be done soon, but it's not like information we can just pull, because it's not an item. It's not a fucking consumable. Like it doesn't exist within the current game as a thing. It's just in the shop. What I'm gonna do for Aspect builds, bro, is it's gonna say Aspect. I gotta go through and fix some of the gods, which are mainly hunters. Like I needed to say Cupid Aspect on his builds, which it doesn't currently do. It just says Core Hunter because it's the same build for fucking everybody. I need to go in and individually add this build and change the name to Aspect. So if you're wondering if it's Aspect or not, it will say Aspect. I need to do it for Thanatos too, but it will say Aspect. I think Athena's does, right? Yeah, Aspect, Athena Jungle. Who else runs fucking Aspects? I think I need to change Morgan's. Morgan's is kind of like your choice, and actually. Yeah, I'll add it though. I don't know if Raw's has it. Well, Raw, you're not running Aspect mid anymore. You're just doing damage. Can you guys tell me something? Are you guys able to go on Smite Source and make builds and tier list, but they aren't public? I don't know if we added that on this iteration of Smite Source. It was on the old one for Smite 1, but I don't know if we ever added it for this. Lifebinder mid, I think, is bad. I think it's so good on supports, but not. Yeah, okay. I didn't think we added it yet. I think we were planning on like getting. Right now, what happens is they drop a patch. And whenever they drop a patch, the information is not laid out the same way in the game files anymore. So every time there's a patch, he has to go in and rework how it pulls like Hunbats and Hunbats information and shit. And it ends up taking time. So I think he's waiting for that to become static, where they're not fucking changing it every 5 minutes. Or, you know, API comes out and then we'll add all that stuff. Ability Prio is already in the game. They're right below the goal. I need to add Vulcans. So this is like they're already on the website. I already have it. So like, who did I do? I don't know who the fuck I just did. Did I do Aladdin yet? I gotta go in and do a bunch of them. Like I can add this. Oh no, it's here. Yeah. I'm trolling. So like it's all in a bunch of them. I just gotta add to some of them. Bach is just getting outscaled by all the other supports. Also, Bacchus Aspect is dog shit. All right. That's it for the tier list. If you guys end up having any questions, I will put it on, like it's going to be on YouTube. So you can go on YouTube and drop comments and just ask, or, you know, if you want an opinion or something, ask and I'll answer. Like I said, I'll update this or do a new one depending on how crazy the patch is tomorrow. And then if they drop any new gods this week, which it looks like if they're doing a flash test tomorrow as well, we might end up getting Achilles by the end of the week, which would be crazy and might shake everything up again.